we're now going to take our ping pong paddle from onshape and put it into vcarve in order to create toolpaths so the machines can cut it for us. The first step is to get to the part studio rather than the assembly. And I'm going to right click on the sketches that I'll need. Now there are a few sketches here that I have. So I'm going to just do this sketch initially. And I'm going to export the DXF DWG. I want that as a DXF. I want to know what it is. So I'm going to call it cat paddle Brodsky. And I'm going to export it. This will then download here. But we can't open it there. We need to open it in a completely different program. The program we're going to use is called vcarve Pro. This is a program that is a CAM program as opposed to a CAD program, computer-aided machining. So I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to put in the size that my ping pong paddle started at, which was 8 inches wide by 12 inches tall and 0.22 inches thick. It is single-sided. Z0 should be at the material surface, and the XY datum should be in the lower left. This should be standard. I'm going to choose OK. This is our basic start document. Now we're going to bring in the vectors. Importing vectors is importing those DXF drawings, sketches that we have from our regular ping pong paddle. So I'm going to take a look in my downloads, where I downloaded it. There's cat paddle from Brodsky. Gets this weird error, but you say, don't worry about it. And there it is. Now, one thing I noticed is that this paddle is definitely not going to fit in the ascribed space. Therefore, I'm going to have to use a larger piece of wood, which is totally okay if that comes to you. Now, if yours fits, great, you want us to do this. So I'll go to Job Setup, and I'll change it from 8 by 12 to 8 by 14. Okay. All right, it moved to the wrong part. So what I'm going to do is select everything. I'm going to center it on the material. There. So now it's centered on the material. Perfect. So now that fits. Everything's going to be great. Maybe. First thing we have to do, though, is connect all the vectors. So here's the problem. All the vectors are like separate. They need to be one long vector. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select everything. And at this point, you can connect your vectors. I'm actually going to unselect a couple of things unselect that because that would mess me up. But everything else we want to connect. So now we'll use this tool here, joining the vectors. And initially there's 10 closed, 24 open. Afterward, they're all going to be closed. And I'll close this. Now you notice if I click on here, it selects the entire paddle, which is great. Now that we have our vectors in, we have to create toolpaths. So we click up here, and we have come to our toolpaths tab. Our toolpaths are a bunch of different things we're going to use. We're going to be using these two. The first one I'm going to use is the pocket toolpath. And I'm going to make a pocket toolpath for all these separate things. Now to click more than one, you hold down the Shift key and select each of them in turn. You have to click on the black line in order to select them. I'm going to cut 0.27, which is deeper than my paddle. I'm going to select a 1/4 inch upcut wood bit with a 1/4 inch shank, leaving all the settings alone. I'm going to leave that alone. We don't need a ramp. And I'm going to call this a hole. All right. I calculated it. And I can press preview all toolpaths, and it's going to show me what that will do. All right, there's my holes. Great. Now I'll close this, and I'm going to choose a profile toolpath. I'm going to have to go back to the 2D view and I have to select the vectors that I want to profile cut. So let me shift click that and that. Those are my profiles. Again, I'm going to cut 0.27 deep. I have to select my bit, 1/4 upcut wood, choose OK. The machine vector should be outside right. I am going to ramp the plunge moves. And now I have to add tabs to the toolpath. My tabs are going to be 0.25 by 0.125. And I have to edit those tabs. The tabs are what holds the object in place while it's cut. Otherwise, as the machine cuts it out, it would break loose and fly around, damaging the thing and possibly the machine. So 3 tabs per piece is great. I'm going to add those, and they come in random places. I'll be able to drag them and move them if I feel like I have to. Or I can click to add more or click to take them away. But I think that'll be fine as is. Now I'm going to close that. I'm going to call this the cutout. Cut out. And when I cut, warning, you're going to cut through the material. That's totally okay. That's what I wanted to do. Now I'm going to preview all toolpaths. Look at that. Looking pretty good. This is a little weird because here, that's connected to that. And I think this will get loose. So I think I want a tab right there. In order to do that, I'm going to have to double click here, edit the tabs, and I can just add another tab right there. And that would take care of that problem. Close, calculate, choose OK. All right, there we go. This little piece is going to be weird. It's going to break off, but I'm not too worried about it. All right, next thing I want to do is add a chamfer. So I'm going to close that. Oh, sorry, let me go back to that. Here's what I needed to do. We need a tab right there. I'm going to reset the preview. I'm going to preview all toolpaths. And now I see that I have a tab down there. All right, so I'm going to close that. And I'm going to create one more toolpath. And this is a profile toolpath. Go back to my 2D view so I can select vectors. So what I want to do is a profile on these outside edges to give them an angle. This is a fillet over the, not a fillet, a chamfer over the edges. And I'm also going to do that here. Well, no, I'm just going to do that there. And you get to go down as far as you think would look good. Test it out. I'm going to put this down maybe 0.2. And I have to select a bit. Now here I'm going to select a V-bit 90 and leave everything else alone. Machine vectors are going to be on. I don't need to ramp the plunge move. I don't need tabs. And I'm going to call this chamfer. And move first at the chamfer. All right, and then I'll preview all the toolpaths. And so that does this nice job of giving me an angle on there. Right, so it's going to be more comfortable to hold. Now I still want to draw that little line there. And I also possibly want some lettering. Maybe on the back I could do some lettering. So I'm going to add some lettering now. You could add pictures in here and lettering. It's much easier than in Onshape, and there are much more options. This software is designed to make signs. So I could do text on a curve. But first I have to make some text to put on the curve. So I'll draw some text. And my text is going to be, I don't know, meow, because it's cat paddle. All right. And there's my little meow text. I think I want it larger. So I can make that. Yeah, maybe even larger than that. That looks pretty good. Let's go with that. I'm going to add it to the curve. So you could just, click this, double click it. You can drag it around, put it somewhere. You could rotate it here to be in the right position. But since I want mine on a curve and I want to put it here, I'm going to, oh, you know what? I can't even do that yet. I have to reverse this paddle handle. So here's the problem. This particular paddle handle is going to be on the opposite side. So I don't want to chamfer the back of it. So this is what I'm going to do to fix that. And unless you have an asymmetrical paddle like this, you don't have to worry about it. That is, unless you have a weird handle like this. All right, so I will choose this. That should be joined. Huh. Unjoin the vectors. It's very strange. All my vectors got unjoined. Join the vectors once again. Very strange. Okay, so now this one here is going to get mirrored. So I'm going to mirror that one, because if I did not mirror it, I wouldn't be able to chamfer it properly. The mirror command is right here. I'm going to flip it to the right. I'm not going to create a copy. Just going to flip it to the right. There we go. Close. I'm going to drag that. Select it. Double click, and I can drag it to here, where it will cut out. All right, now if I go back to preview my toolpaths and I reset my preview, I can preview all toolpaths. It didn't change, and that's because I have to recalculate the toolpath. So I'm going to recalculate all the toolpaths. And the problem, nothing is selected. Let me select. My cutout. And let me select for my chamfer. And now I can preview all the toolpaths. Oh my God, it's on top of itself. What we have to do is reset the preview and now preview all toolpaths. There we go. Looks pretty good. Problem is we don't have any tabs. So we got to add some tabs to my cutout. I'm going to add 3. I'm going to move that one over there. And close. We will calculate. And we will reset the preview. And we will preview all toolpaths. See where these tabs hold. It all looks good except for this tab right here isn't going to hold real strong, but I think it'll probably be okay. We only really have 2 tabs. We do need one down here, though. This will be weak. So I'm going to add another tab down here. I'm going to calculate it. I'm going to reset the preview and then preview all toolpaths, and it will show me that extra tab. I think that will be enough. All right, so now back to adding the text and a line. Okay, so I'm going to wrap the text onto a curve. Shows the text. Shift click a curve. I want it below the curve, above the curve. Doesn't like that. On the curve. The curve. The curve. The curve. So now I have to figure out where. Middle, no, right. Perfect. Just poke around at it until it works out. And I want to offset it because there's going to be a chamfer. It's going to offset that maybe 0.25. And we'll close. Now, the last step here is going to be to create a profile toolpath. And all I'm going to be choosing is my lettering on one side and this line for the center of the tongue on the other side. We are going to only go to a depth of about 0.02. Just barely want it in there, maybe 0.03, like at most. We're going to select a VBit 90 for fine work, 1/4" wood shank. We are going to be on the vectors. We won't need to ramp the plunge moves, and we won't need to add tabs to the toolpath. We will just name this lettering and calculate. We are almost done. We're going to preview all toolpaths again so we can get everything we need.